Morning, good afternoon, good evening. I've said on this platform that Zimbabwe is a failed state. One of the reasons why we are a failed state is because we elected opposition leaders who were supposed to implement the democratic reforms to stop ZANU-PF rigging the elections, to end this de facto one-party state. And for the last 26 years, the opposition leaders have done nothing. They had their best opportunity to implement the democratic reforms during the GNU of 2008-2018. They failed to implement even one token reform. Since the GNU debacle, they've participated in flawed elections, knowing fully well that the process is flawed, knowing fully well that by participating, they're only giving the vote rigging ZANU-PF legitimacy. This point has got to be hammered home because the people themselves have failed to understand the full import of that statement. And the opposition leaders have taken full advantage of that ignorance. On the social media today, there's been remarks, comments on a posting by Fadzayi Mahere. And in it, she says, if there's one thing I don't regret, it's quitting the sham parliament. Imagine working with a regime to wreck the constitution. Disgusting. At least I sleep at night. We need new leaders. The sheer hypocrisy of that stinks. Here is one of the CCC leaders who participated in the 2018 elections and then 2023 elections. She had been informed, like everybody else, that without democratic reforms, ZANU-PF will rig these elections. But her heart was so set on participating to get her share of the spoils of power. She would not be moved. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. At the beginning of just a few months before the 2023 elections, she was one of the CCC leaders, was invited by the UN in Geneva. I think the primary purpose of inviting her was to give the opposition the opportunity to underline the main problem, that ZANU-PF had not implemented even one token reform since the 2018 elections. And the country was being asked to go into the 2023 elections with no reforms. And this was the opportunity for that issue to be brought on the international stage. What she said there surprised everybody, because her main thrust there was the ZANU-PF has not only failed to implement the reforms, but is carrying out all these political manipulations and machinations, including disrupting the opposition, having their rallies and so forth. To her, she told the international community that this was evidence ZANU-PF was panicking because they knew the opposition was going to win the elections. In other words, nothing that was happening on the ground was ever going to stop her and the Triple C leaders participating in the 2023 elections, because they saw everything as proof that ZANU-PF was panicking and they were going to win. Which ties up with what her leader, Nelson Chamisa, was saying, that the party was going to win those elections. No doubt about it. Here is Chamisa reiterating on that very point.
Makorokoto Zimbabwe nokuti hakuna munhu anomira kana denga raronga plan. Denga raronga plan, denga harifoiri. Plan yaMwari haifoiri. Ini ndatanga kugadzira cabinet. There is no way we are not going to form a new cabinet. There is no way we are not going to have a celebration. There is no way we are not going to have an inauguration. Let's start preparing for our inauguration. Let's start preparing for our celebration.
The truth is, of course, that she was lying. Just as much as Chamisa there was lying too. The most important issue there is that by participating, they gave ZANU-PF legitimacy. SADC and the AU election observers condemned 2023 elections as flawed and illegal. And even after their report had come out, Fadzayi Mahere and their colleagues who had won any seats in those elections went ahead and took up their seats. That's giving legitimacy to the regime. It is amazing. Absolutely. It's just unbelievable. She only resigned because soon after they had taken their seats, emerged this character, Sengezo Tsavangu, who immediately recalled a number of those elected Triple C leaders. She had been so close to Chamisa, and she realized that she was likely to be recalled too. And so she resigned. And now she wants to pretend that it was because she had values. She could not sit in a parliament like that. You are the one who participated and gave that parliament legitimacy. You only resigned because you feared that Tsavangu was going to recall you. Here is Margaret Dongo, a former freedom fighter in her own right, and a former ZANU-PF MP before she became an independent MP and a leader of her own party, speaking on this issue of how our politicians had become so corrupted that they care only about themselves, including Fadzayi Mahere.
Politics is not a business. This is what I want to remind most of our MPs and other people.
Do you think they look at it as a business?
Yes, they look at it as a business. Because they look at it as a business seriously. Because the moment they go, business and employment creation, because if they go to parliament, you are employed. You get a car, you get a stable salary, and you are paid until your term is over. Already you are employed. If you are out, you're out of employment.
If you serve 2 terms, you get a pension?
Your iPhone 17 needs our most advanced mouse case ever with the most advanced camera control button, and
you get a pension. Then already, this is why people kill in politics. They kill to be in parliament. This is why we have violence in this country, because there is no employment. The only employment which is there is in politics. There is no other outside employment. So for them, a very good example is, look at what happened to CCC, the Triple C party. Have a look. When they lost, when they said they were rigged, what I expected from them, I expected all parliamentarians to say, we are not going to go to participate in a rigged system. And we are not going to sit in a rigged parliament. Because the elections have been rigged. So all of us were not going to parliament. Imagine what could have happened. We could have gone into new elections. There's no way ZANU-PF was going to roll alone.
You think so?
Yes.
Do they care?
Caring or not caring, the public would have forced them, because the majority of the people would want representation in parliament.
But they went anyway?
But they went. They realized that, you heard them complain, I used my own money to be in parliament. But what about me who have voted for you? I used my own money. So the idea is to recover. Is it a business where you want to recover your losses? Is it a business? Politics, is it a business where everyone else, when you get in parliament?
Exactly. And it should be emphasized here that Fadzayi Mahere knew the elections were rigged, but went ahead and took up a seat out of greed. She only resigned when Savango started recalling some of her colleagues. Those who were closest to Chamisa were almost certain to be recalled by Savango. He had recalled the first batch, and before he recalled the next batch, Fadzayi Mahere resigned. And for her now to be pretending that she was doing it because she respected the need for a working and competent parliament, it's just a lie. The people of Zimbabwe have to wake up to the reality that the opposition, ZANU-PF, would have been history by now if the opposition had implemented the democratic reforms when they had the golden opportunity to do so during the GNU. They did not, because Mugabe bribed them, and the rest, as they say, is history. The people themselves should wake up to the reality that after 26 years and counting, the opposition have failed to implement even any meaningful democratic reforms. That is the reality. People like Fadzayi Mahere will participate in 2028 if the elections were to go ahead then, even with not even one token reform implemented. For the same reason she participated in 2018 and 2023. Greed. That is the reality. The people of Zimbabwe should wake up to the reality that MDC CCC leaders have sold out. They will never change anything. But as long as the people themselves are naive and fail to see that reality, these leaders will continue to take advantage of that weakness. Nelson Chamisa, a few weeks ago, announced that he was coming back into politics because he realized that the so-called Chamisa Chete Brigade members was as strong as when he walked out of politics at the beginning of 2024, when Savango started recalling the CCC members. Why the ordinary people, the 2 million or so who voted for him in 2023, have failed to wake up to the reality that Chamisa lied to them is at the heart of why Zimbabwe is a failed state. An electorate that is so naive, so gullible, that they would believe even an idiotic lie like I've plugged all the vote drinking loopholes, to participate in a flawed elections, to perpetuate their own suffering, is a curse to the nation. The Chamisa Chete Brigade, if you know any one of them, you have to sit down with them and say, no, we cannot carry on like this. Do you believe that Chamisa lied when he said he plugged vote drinking loopholes? If you realize, you finally accept that he lied, why did he lie? Do you know the consequences of those lies? How can you still consider Chamisa to be the solution to the country's problems? We cannot let the Chamisa Chete Brigade members hold the nation to ransom. And they are holding the nation to ransom. Because by participating, as I said, they gave ZANU-PF legitimacy. And this is why we are stuck with this regime. Think about it. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.